This screencast will show you how to make a data table in Word, even if there's a lot of data that maybe at first glance doesn't look like it can fit on one page. So I'm in Logger Pro here. I have my time and position data. I'm just going to highlight all that data. And then I'm going to right click it and go to copy. I'm going to copy it into Microsoft Excel. And then from Excel I'm just going to copy again and paste it right into Microsoft Word. And this is so that there will be, we'll paste it into columns and rows in individual cells. Now it doesn't really look like there's a data table here now, but there is. It's just hiding. So you got to click this little arrow in the top left hand corner, highlight the whole data table, right click, go to borders and shading and select all. And what that does is it puts a grid around everything. Now you notice here I have a data table and I don't have, and it goes on to 2 pages, and I need some labels here. So I'm going to go to right click, insert, row above, and I believe my first column was my time data. So I'm going to write time and then in parentheses S. This is time in seconds. And the next one is position. Oops, got to spell that right. Position, and the units are meters. And you'll notice that the size, like the meters, are kind of below the position here. Before I adjust anything, I want to change to the same font that I'm going to use for the rest of my lab report, which is Times New Roman and 12-point font. While I'm doing that, let's center everything in all the columns. So highlight, right click, and go to cell alignment, and then center. And everything looks a little bit better. Now the trick is, you see how the cursor changes here, you can double click and it'll stretch it out automatically for you. Nice and easy there. So the problem is we just have all this data kind of dropped onto the second page. We don't know what the labels are in the columns, and then we have a ton of white space here that just looks really bad. So I'm going to show you a trick on how you can make this look a lot better. So highlight the whole data table. You're going to copy it by hitting Control-C on your keyboard, or you can right click copy. Then I'm just going to click right next to the top row, and I'm going to paste it. Control-V, or right click and go to paste. And now I have the exact same data table lined up right next to it. And what I want to do is I want to move this data from page 2 onto page 1. So let's get rid of this extra data here onto page 1. Actually, first, we're going to, since this is the second column, I'm going to write continued under the labels of time and position here. So it's clear that it's continued. So we want to take this data off page 1 here. And we want to replace it with this data on page 2. So I'm going to hit Control-X to cut, or you can just Control-C and delete it later. And then Control-V to paste. And now we see the data that was on page 2 now is all on page 1. So let's just delete everything here from page 2. We don't have to look at that anymore. Right click it, delete. And then if we zoom in a little bit, it'd be nice to have some spacing between here. So what I'm going to do, instead of trying to separate these two somehow, because it's all actually just one table, I'm just going to insert a column in between them. So insert columns to the left. And now there's some spacing. However, it looks kind of bad because you have all these blank spaces here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to highlight this column, right click it, borders and shading, and then we're going to take out any horizontal borders. And now we got a nice space in between there. We can adjust that if we want to make it bigger or smaller. I can double click, remember, double click these and it'll do the appropriate sizing for me. Let's make the top row bold, Control-B. That makes that look a little better. And then we got these at the end here. I'm going to get rid of these borders here. I'm going to just click none, get rid of everything. And you'll notice that, oh, it took away the last one on my bottom row, so I got to go put that back. And I want the bottom one. And there we go. So now we have all these data points, position, time, just fit on one page very nicely. And you could do this also with multiple data sets. Let's say your position and time data only came down to here. Then you could put velocity versus time, and then you can also put velocity and position data. Have all your data just on one page. You want to avoid these big areas of white space that are just kind of extra taking up space there. So that's how you create a nice looking data table. If you have a ton of data, that's how you do it in Microsoft Word.